All right, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I am Is There No One Else, and the video I'm bringing you today is a PTS look at the one hand and shield changes for the next DLC, which is Scalebreaker, I think it is. I think that's what it's called. Wanted to go through what the changes were for those of you guys that just wanted to see these, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like on the PTS, because this is one of the most interesting things that I saw. So they reworked defensive posture, reworked this ability and its morphs into a damage shield rather than a weird buff. These abilities no longer passively reduce the cost to block or increase the amount of damage you can block while they are slotted. Reduce the duration of the bonus from this ability to 6 seconds from 30 seconds. Increase the cost to 4320 from 2430. Damage shield scales off 30% of your maximum health, similarly to other damage shields like Bone Shield or Sun Shield. So this shield is actually quite massive now, especially for DK builds and everything. It can scale up to 30% of your max health, so you can actually get a pretty good sized damage shield with defensive posture. This ability will continue to reflect once, but it will now reflect any projectile rather than only spell projectiles. I really like that change. I always thought it was weird that you could only reflect spell projectiles. It seemed kind of lopsided. Defensive stance morph. This ability no longer stuns the target if you successfully reflect an attack at them. Instead, this morph reintroduces the passive, which now increases a maximum of 10% block mitigation and cost reduction. Interesting. Absorb magic. This morph is now called Absorb Missile because it can absorb any range attack instead of just magical ones. Reduce damage shield size to 30% from 50%. Okay. Increase the heal granted from an absorbed range attack by approximately 29% and will no longer remove the shield. All right. Fortress. Increase the cost reduction bonus from the passive. So we got increased cost reduction from 5 to 10% to 7 to 15%, which is a pretty substantial buff. Low slash. Reduce the damage dealt from this ability in a heroic slash morph by approximately 31%. These two abilities will no longer snare targets. I don't mind the lack of the snare. I just don't know why they completely nerfed the shit out of heroic slash and deep slash and ransack, which is also below. This is one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this video. The spammables for one hand and shield have always been kind of lower tier. I honestly thought they needed a buff in damage, so it just now looks like they're going to be support-based skills, which is just garbage for PvP. Like, morph, minor heroism granted from this morph will now last 12 seconds, up from 9 seconds, so a small buff to the passive ability for tanks to much better match the duration of other bonuses. Deep slash, this ability now hits all targets in a 6-meter radius of your target instead of only 2 targets in a 5-meter radius. Alright, this morph now deals the same damage to all targets hit and deals out AoE damage. This morph also retains the 30% snare. Power bash, this ability is now considered a spammable attack, and adjustments have been made to properly place it in that category. This ability no longer stuns at base, increases the damage dealt by all versions of this ability by approximately 94%. Huge buff for power bash. Reduce the cost, so it's now cheaper to use. And then we have reverberating bash, which gets the stun. Max duration of 3 seconds, but it no longer applies major defile, which is a big nerf. The initial hit damage is now halved, and it will deal the other half of the damage when the stun ends. If the target is CC immune, it will not gain the other half of the damage. Okay. So, it looks like whatever the damage is, it's halved when you hit them with a reverb. It stuns them. When the stun ends, you get the other half of the damage. So it's less burst, but it's the same damage. Power Slam. Passive grant is now called Resentment because you're an angry person when you get hit. Resentment activates after blocking any attack and grants you 5% additional damage on your next Power Slam attack. This bonus stacks up to 10 times, lasts 5 seconds, but you can only gain 1 stack every 250 milliseconds to match the cooldown of block cost cadence. Alright, so you can have up to 50% more damage with Resentment. So keep that in mind. Puncture, they reduced the damage by 37%. Shield charge, increased the shield size from shield charge by 25%. Invasion, reduced the maximum bonus to stun duration to 50% from 88%. Yeah, so the biggest changes are reduce in damage to ransack and and low slash, and now power bash is a spammable. And so I wanted to look at this. I wanted to go on the build editor for you guys, and then I wanted to go on the PTS and do comparisons. So I threw together a really quick build that I can quickly put together on the PTS, and I wanted to show the comparison. So we're running 5 Fury, 2 Blood Spawn, 5 7th Legion on the front and the back, all with infused weapon damage enchants, all gold impenetrable jewelry, 511. And as you guys can see on our front bar, let's see, look at our buffs to see we do have major brutality. Okay, that's good to know. And I don't think we have the enchant. Oh, we do. Well, that's not a good look. All right. So with this, in the current Elsewhere patch, our ransacks with this build, this is before Fury and 7th Legion procs. We just want a baseline. So 75, 60, and 82, 58 heroic slashes. So 82, 58 heroic slash, 75, 60 ransack. If we go to the PTS, which I disconnected from, if we go to the PTS, I've already thrown this on a DK, and we can check that out really quick, and we can see exactly what the changes are. So we're going to look at the old heroic slash and ransack changes, and then we're going to look at our new power slam. So the reason we're doing this video, once again, is I thought it was interesting. Second of all, this affects just about every Stam DK build out there. Every sword and board build out there is running some form of reverb and ransack, so they're going to want to be looking for answers like, do I need to go to dual wield? Do I need to go to, 2H and bow? Do I need to go to dual wield and 2H? Like, what can I do with sword and board? So I threw together the exact same build on the PTS. So I'm running 5 7th. You can see the 7th Legion shield right there. You can see the Fury. And I threw in the exact same CP. So this isn't a test into see, like, maximize CP or anything. This is just to see exactly what the changes are. So when we buff up with our rally, and we look at our ransack, our heroic slash, we were at what, 8,200? We were at 8,200 heroic slash. We are now down to 5,403. Essentially in PvP, heroic slash is now garbage. Rest in peace, heroic slash. You've been fun. You are now just an ability that gives us heroism. So it's a sad, sad day, to be honest. I'm not happy that they did it, but yeah. Ransack, we went from 75 whatever to 4502. So once again, not a very good look for Ransack. As you guys can see, they are very, very substantial nerfs. If we go and we look at, so 7560 to 4502, and then we had, 8,200 heroic slashes, and then we dropped down to 5,500-ish. So safe to say that those two spammables are now dead, but let's look and see what the one-handed shield does. So if we go down to Power Bash, you can see that Power Slam, which is probably the one that you want to do. I guess you'd have to test it, but 4K damage and then stunning them for 2 seconds, and then after the stun ends, you do 4,000 damage. I guess you'd want to test to see if when they CC break, if they take the stun, or the extra damage. So my question with this, with Reverberating Bash, is does it happen after 2 seconds? Do they have to take the full stun duration? Or can they CC break and then take the stun? Because if they CC break right away, you're essentially getting the same burst damage because they're still not reacting properly. And so you still get the full bonus. But we're just going to look at Power Slam in total, and we're going to buff up. And we're going to see that Power Slam actually gives us more damage this patch than even Heroic Slash did last patch. So last patch, Heroic Slash with this build was 8,500, and now we've jumped up to 9,000 for our Power Slam. And keep in mind, guys, we can get 50% more damage with this skill. And so this is without 7th Legion procced. This is without Fury procced. This is just the base number. And so what's going to happen with this specific skill is if we go, sorry about this, guys. If we go and we look at the PTS or the build editor again really quickly, and we set up Warrior's Fury to do it's 20 proc for the next patch because it can go up to 20 if I remember correctly. Come on. There we go. And then we proc 7th Legion Brute. It's not going to be exact because obviously this is 150 more weapon damage, so actually we could take 5 out of here. So we will just take 5 out of here. We will get roughly the same numbers that we would have. You can see, guys, that our Heroic Slash, when it wants to go over it, we're up just under 10k. And so we went from 8,500 to just under 10k. Since we are at 9k, we're going to jump over 10. We're going to be in the 10, 11k range with Fury and 7th Legion fully procced, with a chance to get 50% more damage, which means that we're going to have a 16k potential spammable by going on the defensive. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. This is the new 7th Legion proc. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out because, you know, obviously you have to take, you have to block 10 incoming attacks that can happen for 5 seconds, but oftentimes when you're kiting and you're on the defensive, you know, maybe you end up going on the defensive and you pop a shield ult. You know, you pop a shield ult, this may bring back Spell Wall because your cost of your sword and shield abilities is going to be next to nothing. So that may be the way to go. And so you can have actually a pretty nasty Power Slam. Now the problem is now that Power Slam is a spammable, what are we going to use for a CC? Well, you know, Dragon Knights have fossilized, so there's not a big deal with them. I would consider, and these are the two options that I would look at. I would look at either going to your Fighters Guild passives and, you know, using that handy dandy Silver Leash, or you use fossilized. If you're a Stam Sork, you could use your Rune or Silver Bolts. I think Silver Bolts will basically be universal across the board for, you know, a CC that works decently well. So, but if you're Stam Sork and a DK and you have access to those go through block sorts of things, or if you're Stam Nightblade that's using one-handed shield and you want to use power bash for some reason, you could do that as well. So, yeah, very interesting changes for the one-handed shield. Like I said, rest in peace, Heroic Slash and Ransack. It's really too bad. I don't know why they felt the need to do that. But I do think that Power Slam is an intriguing option. It's pretty damn good damage, as you guys can see. It's definitely solid damage. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys are going to do with your sword and board builds. You know, are you moving to something else because of the D-swing changes? Hint, hint, that's going to be a future video. But are you going to go to two-hander, or are you going to go to dual wield, or are you just going to try and stick this out and try out Power Slam or Reverberating Bash? Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.